What up, YouTube? Gunner South here. I'm going to talk a little bit about my CDP gear setup. I think sort of the series that we're doing about the about IDPA shooting. I think y'all are aware that I shoot IDPA, and specifically that I'm shooting in the CDP division currently at sharpshooter. Hopefully going to get a bump to expert pretty soon. But I wanted to take a minute here to discuss my choices for shooting the Glock 41 in the CDP division. I think most people, and I think IDPA in general, created the division to be shot with 1911s. And I wanted to go into some of my reasons as to why I went with the Glock 41. So I think the best way to start this off is to take a look at 1911s to begin with. So what you have right here, I think you've seen it in other videos that I've done, but you have a Series 70 Repo Mark 4 Series 70 Colt. This started as a government model, and it is slowly being transformed into more of a tactical model. It already has a beaver tail added, and an ambidextrous safety added, and the Bowmore sights added. Still to be done is to replace the front sight, to replace the mainspring housing, and to add an additional and to add a magwell. And that sort of goes to the entire reasons why. That's the reason why I haven't chosen this particular firearm to shoot in CDP. One, this has a phenomenal trigger. I believe it's around 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 2.5 pounds, somewhere in there. Probably one of the best triggers that you can use for shooting. 1911 single action only are famous, and that's why people continue to use the 1911 platform, in my opinion, is simply for that trigger right there. But the problem comes in, at least for me, is that I'm trying to hit this target when I'm doing reloads. When I'm doing reloads in IDPA, I need something bigger to hit than this target. Now that's not the gun. That's entirely a failing on my part. When you're shooting and you go dry, you're sitting there and you're under time, and you want to be able to find that magwell immediately. You don't want to hit any edges. You don't want to come in sideways. And although it's a half-inch hole, pretty much, that's still very, very narrow to hit. That can be overcome with a magwell attachment, and it is actually a planned upgrade for me to add one of those one-piece Smith Alexander magwell attachments, probably to keep it more of a classical look. I'm not sure I want to go with a full competition, magwell down here yet, but it's a possibility, and that's how people get around that issue with 1911s. The other option that is out there for me, and I think you guys have probably tired of hearing about this from me, is to adopt a double stack 1911. They are out there. This one in particular is a Para P14 45, so it's 45 still. I can shoot in CDP, and it's got a nice big magwell, and I don't have near as much trouble hitting this as I do the single stack. Obviously it could be beveled a little bit here. I just haven't done that. It's already got all the upgrades that you would really want in an IDP gun, and I've actually added the extended slide release and extended guide rod. But this thing, it's got good sights, it's got a decent trigger, and it's got a nice big magwell. So that is certainly an option, and people shoot these in CDP. This one in particular comes in at 40 ounces, so you're not running into the weight limit. However, you will find trouble finding a magwell that will fit this without going outside the box. So any aftermarket mag wells that you're going to find to hit this is going to, you got to be careful when it comes to the box. So keep that in mind. Probably what you're going to really want to do on this one is just bevel the mag well, and I might eventually get around to doing that. So if I've solved that problem, if I have a 1911 platform with a good trigger and a nice big mag well, why am I still shooting the Glock 41? Well, now that comes to even a more personal reason to shoot the Glock 41, and it has everything to do with grip angle. I'm not sure if you can see it here, 1911. You know, I'll have to maybe look up that angle. It has a particular angle, and then the Glock has a slightly more forward cant. And what was happening for me, because I had been shooting a Glock 34 so much, is I had gotten used to that Glock angle. So when I'm coming in and doing point shooting, I was hitting high with my 1911s, or actually it'd be, I guess, low. I was coming in and I would, when I'd point, I would dip my sights, and it's simply because I'm used to the Glock angle at this point. So that's why I went with Glock. Glock just so happened to come out with a long slide competition version, sort of within the year or two that I wanted to shoot CDP. So that's why I'm shooting Glock, because I can shoot this same thing with the same grip angle, and it actually balances really well. It's lighter. I don't have to worry about making weight. Eventually, if I can find one, I would get a mag well that will fit in the box for this thing. You know, I have more than enough ounces to go before I get anywhere near the limit in the CDP. So let's kind of go into a little bit of what I've done to this particular model. First things you'll notice is I almost immediately got rid of the stock Glock sights. As we all know, those suck. I mean, okay, they don't, I find them perfectly serviceable, but there are better options out there, and in particular, I have gotten used to the competition black rear and fiber optic front, and more specifically, I've gotten used to a red fiber optic front. So these are ZEV sights. They're just, I believe they fit on all Glocks of a particular size, except for the, you know, 17L and some Glock 24s. I believe they all fit there. So you just pop these suckers on and you're good to go. And I had the ZEV sights on my 34 that I was using, and so I used the same set. So now, even when I want to shoot, say I didn't reload any 45 that week or whatever, I can bring my 34, shoot it, and besides the recoil and a little bit of size difference, you're not dealing with a big difference between the 41 and the 34. They should look and feel pretty much the same. So upgraded the sights. That's pretty much number one. Number two, a lot of people like to put the extended slide releases on these Glocks. I'll tell you, I had them. I bought one and put it on and shot 3 or 4 matches with them, and I either had this problem where I was the last round and I kept it down because I was pushing on it, or one time I actually had where I bumped it up and I went to not slide lock. Yeah, I went to slide lock before I was done with that magazine, and I believe those are both malfunctions can be directly attributed to me swapping out that slide release. So I would suggest, unless you need it, unless you have shorter thumbs, and I wear a medium glove. Unless you have really short thumbs and you're having trouble hitting it at all, I had zero problems coming in with a reload and hitting it. And if you just get the edge, that's all you really need to be able to drop that slide and continue shooting. Then one of the last upgrades I've made to this is the DK custom trigger. I have another video that goes into more detail about that. It has a pre and over travel adjustment, and it's a really nice, I'm sitting on the wall already right there. And I can do that for CDP because they allow custom triggers in CDP. Because I'm going to be competing with triggers that are like this, I need every advantage I can, so I went ahead and got the DK trigger. That said, I've been shooting the DK trigger now for 2 or 3 local matches, and my accuracy is not where I want it to be, and I believe it to be directly related to me swapping out this trigger right now. So one of the possibilities is that this original trigger assembly will get reinstalled prior to the state match. So I did want to talk about this before. Just, you know, I've covered the DK trigger in detail in that other video, so I just want to go into a little bit of what I had done to just the stock trigger. Obviously, I don't know if you can see that. That is a Zev, I think V4 they call them, connector. So I had that installed. It had been polished. I had polished up my trigger bar. I polished all the connecting surfaces, including, you know, if you want to know what I'm talking about, just Google up the 25-cent trigger job here, and you'll know what you need to do to a brand new Glock to get rid of a lot of the grittiness. So I had swapped out the connector and swapped out all of the springs with the Zev spring kit, which includes this trigger return spring, I believe, right there. So that, in addition to the plunger spring and the striker spring, is what constitutes a Zev spring competition kit. So this might go back into my Glock 41. I'm going to try the DK trigger a couple more weeks, but it might be a failed experiment for me. I know what the Zev spring trigger connector everything feels like. I've been shooting on it for over a year. It's a hard transition for me to make, apparently. So I don't know whether it's me just not using my sights and I need to slow it down and shoot better, or if it is the trigger that's throwing me off right now. I have a feeling it's just me. So I'm gonna stick with the DK for a little bit more time being. I pair that up with the CompTech paddle holster that I had for my 34. It is the same holster that I was using. Again, I don't particularly like this holster because it is a paddle holster. It has its conveniences where you can just slip it on and off. But one of the nice things about shooting in Glock 41 is that they can use the same holsters as the 34s and 35s. I had to take the retention screws all the way out, but it does fit. Now my 34 is a little loose in there. I would imagine that the way this is designed, these holsters are designed, the 34 is supposed to fit in there if you crank them down, and then the 35, which is the 40 cal, fits when you loosen them up. So I'm thinking any holster that will fit the 35 will fit the 40. So that is something to keep in mind. But I'm using this CompTech holster, still very happy with the holster portion of it. I would just wish to replace it with a belt holster clip. And then one of the things that did pose a problem for me when I switched to the 41 is I was currently using these Blackhawk mag holsters, and these are fit for double stack magazines in 9 and 40. Well, I'm not shooting 9 and 40, so what that means, oh, sorry about that. What that means is that this thing, the little retention in here is not set up to take these 45 mags. They're just too thick. So I have this one, which is the one that I wear on my back, right? Back small of the back. It's my starting mag. That's why it's got a paster there and a paster there, so I know to load it up with 9 and not 8. So this one goes on the back. Well, let me just go like that. So this is the one that I keep on the small of my back for starting mag, and then I had to buy this Blade Tech double mag pouch to fit the wider 45 double stack mags, and I have been really happy with this thing. I did have to take the retention screws out quite a bit, but now I've got them nice and loose, but they're not coming out. I mean, they got a little wiggle to them, but those things aren't coming out until I pull them. And when I pull them, they're ready to go. So this, I believe, has really helped my reloads almost, because it's in the same place riding on my belt every week. So I reach, I'm grabbing these, grabbing this one, and grabbing this one, and I'm not having any trouble finding the first mag. And some of them are so close together to where you can accidentally knock out the second mag when you're drawing the first. I haven't had that to be a problem for me. I think it may be for pistols that have more of a lip on the end of the mag, they might catch, but at least for Glock I haven't run into it. So using this, you have your IDPA setup. I mean, you're good to go. You have 3 magazines and you're all set. And the Glock 41 has performed flawlessly prior to me dicking around with that slide release, but it's never not fired, and I attribute any misses solely to me. So what do I have in this? Let's just summarize real quick. Blackhawk single mag holster 45. This one is 9mm and 40. Blade Tech double mag pouch for 45. Comtac paddle holster for 34 and 35. Glock 41 Gen 4, which is the only generation, with Xtreme competition springs in it, along with the DK custom trigger. I'll just hear this guy. DK custom trigger with pre-travel, over-travel adjustment, and yeah, I'm ready to shoot state. I'm going to shoot the Alabama State match. CDP, hope to get my match bump at that point. But that is why I'm not shooting 1911s for CDP, even though I have some fantastic options to do so. So give this a like, a share, subscribe. I'll try to make some more videos. Might go into more detail with some of these other guns that I've got. But appreciate you watching, and thanks a lot.